All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. As always, your host, joined by Dan and Nick. And obviously, this is not going to be the Krasnodar match review, which Dan has so eloquently left in the script. This will actually be the Burnley match review. So I hope this isn't a huge shock to our guest, Yan, from most known for, Yan's Yard and all of that streaming you do on Twitch. You occasionally run a YouTube channel. I mean, how's it going, Yan? You've been a busy man.
Hey boys, yeah, I have been. Although I've just thrown all my Krasnodar notes into the bin. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm feeling good. I'm looking forward to talking about Chelsea's title challenge. So thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to get into this one real quick and real deep. But gentlemen, as you're aware, we do the three-word match review. Dan, you've been again picking some of these out. So what do we have for the Burnley match?
We've got some good ones. Mr. Thurman from our Discord with Slash and Burnley.
Love that.
Our boy SP Beal, Abraham Drood-esque performance, Dean Mears, the pennies dropped, Mark with money well spent. A special shout out for Nick here, one of them, Z-Man Masterclass from Brian. Little Casey Joe's reference there, which he actually treated all of us to Z-Man, and it was quite delicious.
What's up, Brian? That's a winner. There you go. Nice.
Connor presenting Hakim Potter, Kevin with Ziyech Zuma 0, Joey with a wonderful Who's Ashley Barnes? Jonathan with Mountain Midfield, Tommy with Worthy of Silverware, pun intended.
Oh boy.
And then Kel Hendrick 13, Mendy is God? ? Very existential 3-word review.
I might have underestimated the depth in which I thought this was going to go, Nick. So keep it going here. Your 3-word match review.
You only picked on me because it wasn't in the script, which is fun. But mine is going to be comprehensive, cohesive, classy.
Okay. Those are 3 words
in a row, and they have alliteration. So in your face, do better.
Dan, what about you?
I was going to talk about it. I thought you said Yan. Did you say Dan or Yan?
Dan and Yan. That's going to be a tough one this episode. We're going to have to work through this. I'm saving you for the last. You're the special treat here, Yannick. So Daniel.
Why'd you say
wow,
it like that?
That's so weird. That's like Krasnodar.
Krasnodar.
All right, so I went also with 3 words, also with alliteration, but I went with magician meet midfield.
Okay. I went with Not the Standard, aka Burnley, which I tweeted about last night and got some interesting engagement. Yannick, what about you, sir?
Well, I was going to talk about the midfield, but I've just changed my mind there to I want to do what Reece James commented on Edouard Mendy's Instagram post, no goals allowed.
Team effort from that group for sure. All right. Well, look, I hope you got your 3-word match review in already. If not, it's too late. That window has shut. We're moving on to what we're going to be talking about in this match review. So how it was all treats and no tricks for Lampard's men as Ziyech started unleashing his magic. We'll heap a bunch of praise on a comprehensive midfield performance with a 6 and a couple 8s known as Havertz, Mount, and Kante. And then obviously we'll talk about Clean Sheet FC and Mendy's day off, which was, someone even tweeted me and said I could have been in goal and still have kept that clean sheet. So,
dude, I should have gone
Nick
weekend at Bernie's. I should have gone weekend at Bernie's. Dang it. You could have strung him up in goal and there wouldn't have been a thing.
Weekend at Burnley's, though.
Yeah. Oh, damn it.
Come on, man.
Well,
that was staring you in the face, Nick.
Right in the face.
All right. Well, I think damn it. Now we have put the stamp of approval on these. So
we killed it.
All right. Hey,
damn it. That was
huge shout outs to Mariano and Parker who joined us up on Patreon. Really excited to have you two in there. Dan, you've got the Apple Podcast reviews.
Yeah, people putting me to work. I appreciate it. Lots of 5-star love on Apple Podcasts this past week. Lance Pa, E. Jordan W. We had D Stamper 33, DJ SJD 2010, Pedro Junker, Daniel J. Zur, McSweezy DSG, Perry Motivation, and Medic Mike NZ from New Zealand with a little bit of 20-year Chelsea supporting love from the land of Frodo and his friends.
Bet they love that.
It's amazing.
I mean, well done on the Apple Podcast reviews. We appreciate all of you. Nick, our final call to action before we jump into the match.
That's right. Vote. You probably are too late on early voting. Some states still have it open. Go vote. Mail it in or don't.
Dropbox.
Drop boxes, also acceptable. Voting in person on the day. Very acceptable. I have a mustache now. Look at this thing. Cool.
It's true.
Again, it's an audio podcast first. You have to say, hey, I shaved. I have a mustache now. And it looks weird.
It looks awesome. I'm really pumped about it, actually.
I mean, obviously.
It's decent, man. I've got a lot of time for it. I think it's decent.
I was going to say, Yannick, you've obviously had quite your own mustache going. You've got respect for this one, huh?
You can do
man.
You can do the twisties, though.
I can do that, man. But I'm half French. It's like, it just comes naturally. It's my burden to bear.
All right. Well, here we go into the match review. Was Burnley in the Premier League this past Saturday, October 31st, also known as Halloween. It was at Turf Moor, and the scoreline was Chelsea 3, Burnley 0. So shout out to the Chelsea Fist Stand app, the official app. We'll go ahead and send it to them to run through the goals so you can get reacquainted with this delightful trio. Here we go. So there it is, gentlemen. Hakim Ziyech on target. Then Kurt Zouma with a massive, massive header. And then Timo Werner stayed on far too long, but ended up getting a goal. So I guess it all worked out. Obviously, we all predicted a win going into this. If you listen to the match preview, I got the number of goals right. Dan got the clean sheet. Nick got participation points for showing up, so we'll give him that. Lineup time,
Boy.
Dan. Run us through how Lampard tricked us yet again, and we have no lineup predictions correct yet.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was a little less of the issue with Lampard and more of a late change, which we'll get into. But Edouard Mendy between the sticks, we had Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma as the center back pairing with Ben Chilwell and Reece James on the flanks. We had N'Golo Kante, Mason Mount, and Kai Havertz. Yes, your eyes did not deceive you. It was a midfield three. And then we had a front three of Tammy Abraham, Timo Werner, and Hakim Ziyech. Substitutes included Willy Caballero, Carlo Zeiger with a late addition to the bench, which was interesting. Antonio Rudiger, Cesar Azpilicueta as unused substitutes. Jorginho, Olivier Giroud, and Callum all made appearances after the 73rd minute. And one Christian Pulisic was the individual who was starting, got injured, and then was no longer available, Brandon.
You're trying to tell me it's not normal to have two backup goalkeepers on the bench?
Well, I mean, I figured you probably liked it, but it's not what most squad composition is supposed to look like.
Not ideal from a tactics standpoint, actually. So, so obviously Pulisic getting dropped was not great. According to Naz, he said, quote, "It is a small sensation in his hamstring, so we had to pull him. He couldn't play the game. We will have to scan it. He is frustrated," end quote. Yeah, the video clip of Pulisic walking off the field, Nick, he was upset, obviously, practically like Hulk ripped his bib off, threw it on the ground, was visibly upset.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't want to spend the entire show talking about a guy who didn't play, but I think for our audience, it was an important development, and he has to get and stay healthy at some point. I think the frustration that he has is the frustration we all feel, because Chelsea made no mistake but to let us know that he scored a hat trick at Burnley last year during the week. I think they showed those highlights about 15 or 20 times. And I really thought he was poised for a breakout game here again, because it's the exact kind of team that he would rip apart. I mean, Burnley are not quick. He is quick. We played on the counter sometimes. We played with the ball a lot. The injury still, kind of hurting him, and I'm wondering if he tried to come back too quick. or if it's just an accumulation of a lot of little things, that can happen as well. So I just hope that he gets and stays healthy. And unfortunately, Frank has one less option to choose from.
Yeah, definitely hoping it's minor. It's a concern. He's had these soft muscle injuries quite a bit. Possession, Chelsea was 64%. We had 14 shots, 9 on target. Burnley had 5 shots, none on target, hence the why I could have played. We out-touched them, out-passed them, just everything you expect. We each had 13 tackles. They had 16 clearances to our 13. Our 4 corner kicks to their 3. We had 4 offsides, all right? We had the Morata special going. And our 15 fouls conceded versus 10. So it was a very choppy match, to say the least. And very interesting. Last year, when we look at expected goals, we were on the very wrong end of it. All of a sudden, we had an expected goals of 1.23, but we bagged 3. Burnley had 0.41. They didn't bag any. That's a nice change of pace this season.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's always good to outperform your XG, look clinical. Sometimes people look at a low XG and think that's bad, but not always. In fact, it can represent being good, like being clinical in front of goal. And I think this is like a confidence thing. I think we all feel a lot more comfortable watching Chelsea this season, and it does start at the back. I know it's that old cliche, but confidence starts at the back and it goes all the way to the top. Whether it's defending better as a team or if it's just being more clinical with chances, forwards, if they don't feel like the whole world's on their shoulders to score, like, we're not going to win unless I score this goal. They suddenly, basically the pressure's been lifted this season. The forwards aren't going, oh God, if I don't score this, bad defense and perhaps Kepa in goal with no confidence. Suddenly they feel a little bbit more like they can back themselves. And that's probably one of the large reasons why we're outperforming XG.
Look, I'm going to agree with that wholeheartedly. Obviously, we'll get to the defense a little bit later, but if we get stuck in right away at the top of the running order here, it's Ziyech. The Wizard of West London, as Dan has so appropriately dubbed him all of a sudden. 2 starts, 2 goals, and assist. Everyone's favorite luxury player, Brandon? ? That's right. I'll read the teleprompter verbatim, Dan. I'll do it. And yes, I called him a luxury player, and I stand by it. He's fantastic. He's not great at tackling. I don't care what you say. And he doesn't need to be.
But it's not for a lack of effort.
It's true. He'll run.
I think maybe that was the thing that people were jumping on you for. It's not like he didn't track back. He did.
That's true. Yeah, he got back there. Naz had a quote from Lampard on Ziyech. Quote, I expected a lot of him as I was aware of his qualities. He brings a lot to us, his eye for a pass, goals, and assists. But what I've seen from him is his personality, end quote. I guess, Nick, have you been able to see any type of his personality being asserted on the field, and what does that look like to you?
What's interesting, and I think it's Werner and Havertz do this if you pay attention or in the broadcast, when they misplace a pass to each other or a pass was on, they couldn't quite reach it or they didn't finish the move, they'll look at each other and start to do one of these things. When I remember against Krasnodar that Ziyech floated one in for Pulisic that he wasn't quite able to get on the end of, and Pulisic looked back on him and it was like dead eyes right at him, like, you missed that one's on you. I think that Ziyech is going to raise the level of this team. I don't know if he's maybe the most loved player in the locker room or the most congenial, but I think he is a killer. And eventually everyone's going to get on the same page and it's going to be really, really scary. But right now you can tell that they're still working out each other's, kind of ball placements and ball flights and things like that. And his is pretty outstanding. I mean, you have to be honest about that. He's definitely a weapon in that regard. But I can tell, I think he's going to, it already is, but he is going to have a positive impact on this team for a lot of the season.
Yeah, and over to you. Just kind of keep it open on Ziyech and your thoughts on him.
Oh, man. I love him. I always maintained since this, mental transfer window on Football Therapy, I just talked about how I'm most excited about Hakim Ziyech, how I think it's a little bit understated how effective he's going to be because he's the oldest, he's the most experienced, and something that, you guys talking about what Frank Lampard's been saying about Ziyech. Lampard had this sort of, elite Chelsea team arrogance about him, and that, what made Chelsea truly great. Like, they were hardworking, they were talented, but they had this like absolute self-belief / arrogance. And Chelsea recently are massively lacking that. Even our like greatest recent player, Eden Hazard, he didn't have that arrogance. So someone like Hakim Ziyech, kind of like what Nick was saying, he's going to look at people when they don't convert his chances, because he's like, that was an awesome ball, I serve them up all the time because I'm pretty badass. And Lampard's been talking about this personality that is brought into the team, and in probably a more delicate way, he's kind of saying what I'm saying now. He brings this self-belief, this arrogance, similarly the same way that what Bruno Fernandes brought to Man United. They're similar players in many ways. I personally prefer Hakim Ziyech. Yes, half biased, but yes, also like his player profile. But they're like, no bollocks, I'm coming in and we're an amazing team and you've got to sort your shit out, mate. Do you know what I mean? So that's something that Hakim Ziyech will bring. But it's almost like an old school English footballer mentality, but at the same time he's like this cultured wizard. So excellent signing for both what he does on the pitch and for his psychology as well.
I would say, to kind of cap on this element of just what Ziyech brings into the side, is also the experience. I mean, think about the age profile of our team, and they called out in the commentary how like, oh, Callum comes on, now the average age of the team has gone down yet again. And we have a very young side. Even some of our highest profile players we signed this summer are just in the 2021. So let's keep that in mind when you bring in someone who, for Ajax has been playing in the Champions League with a high level of regularity, knows what it means to win his domestic competition quite regularly. Ziyech is someone who brings that experience, a bit of a winner's mentality into the side. And I actually think, and I'm interested to see if you saw any difference, Brandon, because I think we talked about Krasnodar and we talked about Ziyech and maybe not kind of getting stuck in with some of the defensive end of the game. I actually think he bodied up a couple of those Burnley players quite well. And for, I think someone, we talk about profile of players is a little smaller, maybe not kind of the most built out or kind of fully formed player. I think he held himself really well against one of those sides that I typically view as a bunch of bastards and who are the ones that are going to get stuck in and kind of put in a little bit of extra physicality. And I didn't see him really shy or pull away or pull out of anything.
I mean, you're right in the sense, I think that this was probably one of the first matches where we saw like 100% ready to go Ziyech, which again, he needed some time to get in and figure it out. But, it's not that a player can't do that stuff. It's just, that's really not the whole point we signed him, obviously, was not for that stuff. But to see that he has bought into this Lampard style, he's bought into all right, I'm going to have to play on both sides of the ball, track back so we can retain it because that's how the team is playing as a style. I mean, that's just great to see, especially if he's kind of one of the elder statesmen in such a young squad. He's like, hey, I bought in, I'll do the running as well because I expect you all to run as well. So it's great to see. I think, we can come back to this, but Dan, if you pulled up the average position chart here, and Ziyech is very central, right? Almost like as a second striker. And I thought that was interesting to see. He just opens up that flank for Reece James to operate down the channel, and he's able to almost play like as a hybrid 9-10 in the middle as well, which can create some overloads and some different things like that. But that really surprised me as well. And obviously, I think that we'll all be surprised that we had 7 players essentially all within 15 yards of the center circle.
It's mad, isn't it? I just quickly on that. It's really interesting to see Tammy Abraham literally be on the center circle, and Havertz, Mount, Ziyech, Werner, and both fullbacks all generally averaging a position in front of him, which shows you that perhaps the reason Lampard brought in Tammy Abraham into this game to sort of be that, not run the channels, not running behind, but be a bit more of the link man, a striker to hold up the ball. I'm sure like his defensive work also brings, centralizes his average more. But it's a really interesting graphic there.
I did want to like make the transition because I know that Tammy's in our rundown here. I think the last point I'll make on Ziyech before we kind of get into how everyone else kind of played. Every game it seems like there's a different playmaker that stands out. You know, it's been a trend that I've seen this year. Sometimes it's Havertz, sometimes it's Werner. You could argue that Pulisic did a little bit of that against Krasnodar. Ziyech has been that guy the last 2 games. I think the sooner that this team in a match figures out who that guy is going to be and lets that person do their thing and everyone else kind of helps out and creates their own space, creates their own moves and chances, the better offensive attacking flow the team will have. If everybody tries to be the guy, I think that's going to be a problem. So not to say that multiple players can't have great games or multiple players can't make plays, but clearly Ziyech was running the show yesterday. I mean, like it wasn't, I don't think that was up for debate. So I think then Havertz doing a little bit more of the shorter link-up play, or Tammy dropping deep to help start offensive moves, all that stuff just is in service of the team making really, really good passes, moves, and eventually scoring goals.
Well, and huge credit, obviously, to Mount on some of the through balls he played as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that just kind of goes into how they're all kind of clicking and doing. And so the attacking options are coming from all over the pitch. I think that is also what's making it really difficult for teams to deal with. All right, Dan, let's see. So Tammy Abraham from at Chelsea Youth, 2021. At Liverpool, he played less than 15 minutes. Barnsley scored, had a couple assists, including that dummy assist, which was sick. West Brom, he had a goal. Tottenham, less than 15 minutes. Palace, he had an assist, and he's involved in Chilwell's goal. Southampton played less than 15 minutes. Sevilla, less than 15. United didn't. Krasnodar, assist in less than 15 minutes. He has a goal involvement every 39 minutes this season that he plays. So
just good.
That's good.
Well, we talked about this idea, and I think I saw a couple people who were maybe disappointed that Giroud wasn't getting the start this match, and I think maybe there's just a not understanding how Tammy is continuing to improve his game and improve it in a way that allows him to, and I think our friend Simon called it out in his 3-word match review and calling it a Giroud-esque performance. Tammy dropped way deep. Tammy was absolutely servicing, out to Ziyech. He was servicing, back to the midfield to kind of put it forward into Werner. He was central to almost everything that we did yesterday. And, outside of not scoring a goal, he got the wonderful assist for Ziyech in his goal at the beginning of the game, put himself up in the box, held up extremely well. It's exactly what you want to see from a center forward. Again, almost a perfect game outside of not getting the goal. And I think that that's a credit to Tammy to stay super motivated, to stay hungry, and to be ready when called upon. Initially, he wasn't even going to start this game, Nick. And so for him to plug in immediately, to allow Werner and Ziyech the space to move forward and to drop beyond the halfway line and to kind of even go as deep into kind of our side of the pitch, I mean, that just speaks volumes, I think, to the selflessness, and to see that he's still finding a way to improve the productivity of the team is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not Tammy's dad, but I'm so proud of him. I really am. I think the evolution that he's shown in a short amount of time is something to be really excited about, because I don't know if Tammy would have done this at this stage last season. All he wanted to do was get in front of goal and score, right? And I think he would have been really frustrated this time last year with having to do some of the work that he did yesterday. But what I saw was a guy who was gleefully doing that work, who was getting stuck in a little bit, who was tracking back defensively, and he played left back at one point. It was incredible to kind of watch the all-around game that he had. Now, obviously, he didn't get the chances that he wanted to score, and I think that's always going to be something that he has on his mind. But I was very, very impressed, and I think it does, bring in a different aspect of how this team can play with Werner and Abraham, or Werner and Giroud, to have a second striker like Werner who's willing to go on these gut-busting runs downfield, and to have a kind of taller center forward who's willing to make the quick distribution so that a ball can go over the top to him. We haven't really seen that this year, and that's an interesting part of where this team could go offensively.
Yeah, you know what, man? All our strikers are good. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course, Werner is this like elite gunman, run the left channel, whether that's left wing or striker. And then Tammy, like, you've just been waxing lyrical, Nick, about his development of his game this season. It's almost like people were concerned about him, about Werner, and like the spotlight coming off him. But I think that might be a great thing. Like you say, like he's still a Premier League striker who can bag a bunch of goals. The spotlights are off him quite a lot. They're more distributed, so now he can develop better, in my opinion. And, you know, seemingly our, World Cup winning target man, he came on, granted that goal was offside, but that was lethal finish. And, Giroud could come off the bench in one of the next few games and score like a worldie, and you'd be like, yeah. Because, you wouldn't be like, wow, you'd be like, yeah, Giroud scored a superb goal, because it wouldn't shock you at all, would it? And it just makes you think, wow, we've got options, man. And I don't know if you boys saw, did you see Brogier's finish for Vitesse yesterday?
Oh my.
What a finish. So you think, strike is not a problem for us. But yeah, I concur with everything you pretty much said on Tammy, and I'm very happy with the options we've got moving forwards now. So yeah, that's it.
Well, all right. I think we're going to kind of close book on that one. Obviously, I think Nick wins the Tammy debate of that you're not his father, but you are proud. And we appreciate that sentiment. That's well done. All right. So the next part's up. We have Mount and King Kai. And I don't know what the Mount Tay thing is. Am I missing a reference here?
That was a Joe Tweeds thing. He was combining Mount and Conte into one word.
No, but you don't put A and E. You just put E with the accent on top.
All right. So here we are to the Mount Tay and King Kai. Which, why does King Kai get his own, but we had to combine Mount and Conte? That just doesn't seem fair to me, especially because like Mount and Kai are the 8s and goes the 6. Tweeds, I got questions.
This is the thing you take umbrage with.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right,
so
we know what bothers you now.
Obviously, the 4-3-3 being the place to be. Those 3 in the middle. N'Golo Kante, his game by numbers versus Burnley coming to you from Squawka. 100% aerials won because he's massively tall. 100% cross completion, 100 touches, 96% pass accuracy, 4 ball recoveries, 3 tackles, a couple of interceptions, a foul won, a shot, and a chance created. A masterful display. I don't know, where do you want to go with this one, Mr. Dormer, when it comes to N'Golo Kante? This is, I guess, like, is the dip over? I mean, is as long as he's healthy, this is the guy we know of.
It was great. Look, is it where he naturally sits in the pitch as the 6 kind of holding in front of the center backs? Not really. That's not where we've seen him potentially be the most effective. It was really great in the Leicester side with another Chelsea player who we will not name, and kind of being able to just dominate going box to box. But he can do a job here. And I think what we saw is the benefit of N'Golo Kante actually getting to rest occasionally, where he's not being relied upon to play every single match that we go game in and game out. There are going to be stretches of the season where that is going to have to happen because of the quick turnaround. But I think maybe if Lampard is able to continue to spell him a little bit against some of these sides in the Champions League, allow us to give him 45 minutes off, 60 minutes off, maybe a match off here and there, and we can keep him this fresh, we're going to get someone who is dominant. He looked very strong in this performance. He looked very comfortable yesterday, and this was about as vintage in terms of just a absolutely dominant performance, I think, that we've seen from Conte in quite some time yet.
Yeah. Do you know what's really? I agree wholeheartedly. But what is an important thing to say at this point is Kante's played, I think, really well in this lone 6 role against opposition where we've got really high possession, and it's great. And I mean, it looks like defensively immaculate, but the jury, although it does seem perfect. And I've been hyperbolic about this as well on my channel and stuff, so I'm just as amped as every other Chelsea fan watching that midfield. But the jury has to be out a little bit until you see those two particular attacking eights and N'Golo Kante against opposition who's going to also want loads of the ball and put in a really high press as well. And, what happens in that final third transition to defence when, you got some of the elites running at you. So the jury's still out, and then, would Frank even risk that formation? Part of me thinks, yeah, it could work because of the industry that we know Mason Mount has, and the industry that looks like Kai Havertz is capable of, slide tackles, running back, he might all be like, he's not just a Galactico attacker. So it could work if they all work together defensively, but I think jury's still out a little bit. I think N'Golo Kante can't play all the games because of stuff you've discussed loads of times on this show about his injury record and fatigue and stuff. Who comes in instead of him in that formation? Jorginho? I don't think so. Not, maybe Billy Gilmore, Kovacic, no. We all love the shape. We all love how it brings the best out of the defenders and the attackers. But is it something that we can be consistent with all season? I'm not so sure. But yeah, I know I've sort of dragged that slightly away from Kante. Sorry, Brandon.
No, you're good. I mean, he just said that he's the piece that makes it all work together. And if, to your point, if we want to play this 4-3-3 consistently, but N'Golo Kante can't be there consistently, now we have a bit of a situation. So sure. I don't know, Nick.
I have the solution, I think. I was thinking about this yesterday because I think your point is incredibly well taken. Yeah, and that
thanks, man.
Against your Man Cities, maybe the way it's structured yesterday isn't the exact solution. But I actually do think that you put Kovacic back as the 6 because I think he moves the ball quicker. And then I do think that either Mason or Kai, most likely Mason in this case, maybe Kai, I don't know, misses out because of the pressing ability. Because I think you have to counter press City and Liverpool. I think you have to at times give it as good as you get it for it to be successful. So then I think you put N'Golo up front where he played in the Sarri system as one of the 8s and let him kind of press higher because that's an outlet then that you can potentially win the ball upfield. So maybe that works. I don't know if Frank would do that, but he was immaculate yesterday. And I think the thing that we didn't talk about is he had a through ball that was chef's kiss. I mean, it was beautiful. That's
a welcome change as well.
He drew defenders toward him and then was like, nope, bloop. Just a nice little perfectly weighted pass. And I don't know. I think you guys know how much I love him as a player. He's my favorite player on the team. So.
Yeah, no, it was pretty fantastic, obviously. The best part about it was he wasn't the only one. Squawka also teeing up one for Mason. He said, Mason Mount for Chelsea versus Burnley. Most passes completed in the opponent's half, 47. Most chances created with 3. Most shots attempted with 3. Most take-ons completed 3. Most tackles 3. Most shots on target 2. And most assists 1. He did pretty much everything. So I guess before we get into Nick's eye test, Dan, I will let you speak on Mason, and then we can turn it over.
I mean, all you need to do is watch his post-match interview where he talked about the string of matches that we've won, the clean sheets we kept together, and he talked about the fact that he was able to play his best position and how much he enjoyed it. And Mason Mount is a midfielder. And stop. That is the end of the conversation. Will he continue to get deployed in a wing at some point? Yep, because that's what Frank is going to do. Frank is going to do it at points because he is so gifted in his ability that he can be deployed there in a pinch. I think it'll be interesting to see with a healthy Pulisic, with Callum being available, with Timo being an option on the wings, with Tammy being strong. Does he maybe relent from trying to do the square peg round hole situation and try to get Mason onto the pitch in that wing position? But in general, Nick, I think it's great to see him play in an area where we know he can be successful, and the positive response that we saw yesterday from fans and supporters, both from people who stand for the man, but people who also maybe were critical of Mason, especially from performances earlier this season where he was on the wing, changed their tune, getting a chance to see him play in the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know we're getting to the day of the match later, but my eye test was that he was my man of the match. I think he was excellent yesterday, and I sent out a tweet that people responded positively to, saying that the haters are awful quiet.
Your first
right
one.
now. Yeah, my first ever tweet. You guys go like that because it made me feel good. He was just excellent. I mean, like, some of the things that stood out, right? The tackles that he made. One sliding tackle that was full of shithousery, which I loved. The crossfield balls to Reece James in the wind yesterday were superb. And we didn't see that a ton last year, if I'm honest. Like, you know, sometimes our center backs would put a good one in, but we're seeing a lot more crossfield switching of play this year, and Mason was huge in that yesterday. He was our most dangerous attacking player before the first goal. He was the one carrying the ball upfield, getting into the opposition final third and making dangerous passes. I mean, it was a little bit more muted in the second half because he didn't have as much to do, and we were comfortably ahead. And Edouard Mendy was kind of the weekend at Burnley's in goal, just kind of chilling out. But I thought he was superb yesterday, and as an attacking 8 that has still a fair amount to do defensively, Brandon, this is a guy that can make this team go. He can be an engine type of guy.
That's exactly what his role is as a lot of us play Ultimate Team. I mean, you're slapping that engine card on him because he's gonna go box to box and he's gonna help N'Golo Kante defend. He's gonna help Kai Havertz attack, and it was great to see him have the freedom to do it. I guess, Ian, for you, I'll let you decide if you want to talk about Mount or Havertz or maybe combine them.
Well, I'll have a little word for Havertz in a sec, but yeah, I want to sort of just continue on Mount a little bit more. On Match of the Day, they spent some time talking about him. They were split on Ziyech or Mason Mount for man of the match, but yeah, like Nick said, the switching of play, the crossfield, long diagonals, like rightly said, in the wind, multiple slide tackles, intricate close play, super, like genuinely the complete performance that we know he's capable of. He obviously got the assist from the corner as well for Zuma, which is a lovely corner. We've seen him score direct free kicks and stuff. He really is such an amazing young man at Chelsea Football Club, and his attitude is second to none as well. The way he talks, he's like young, humble academy lad, but just there for all the right reasons. So he deserves immense amount of praise, and it's kind of like a cool narrative how his counterpart on the other attacking 8 is Kai Havertz, this German lad, the same age as him, similar players, obviously not much, he's much more coveted around Europe than Mason Mount. But, seemingly is humble as well in different ways, quite a shy guy, and also surprising us with his defensive work. So it's really impressive, basically, both of them. And although Kai wasn't like as good as Mason in that match, he's pretty much demonstrating how he can do a bit more of the defensive graft as well, which means he's definitely safe to be in the team wherever, pretty much. Kai Havertz.
Do you think if Mason wasn't at Chelsea, clubs would be queuing up to buy him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or do we just get lucky because he came through our academy?
His clubs would definitely be into
Both?
buy him. Well, no, because there'll be like people like around Europe would have seen him in Vitesse, would have known him at Derby, would have seen him for England. People would have talked to Gareth Southgate and Frank Lampard, and the same way Bayern are coming in. Bayern don't need midfielders, but they're coming in for Hudson-Odoi because they smelt an opportunity. No one smells an opportunity for Mason Mount. They're like, well, pointless trying to buy him from Chelsea, not just because he's good and he's a Chelsea academy player and long-term contract, but because of the Frank Lampard connection. So no one's like dreaming of trying to sign him. But I'm assuming Dan, you'd agree with that sentiment.
Oh, absolutely. You would see lots of clubs, I think both in England and abroad, would be trying to sign someone like Mason. He's got a really good portfolio of skills and has a profile that's very adaptable. And so, we look at the type of players that Chelsea have signed or brought in. You bring someone in like Timo who can play central or on the wing. You look at Havertz being someone who can play in the midfield on the right as a second striker, as the lone striker in multiple positions. Mason offers that level of flexibility. And so not only would he be someone who can stick it on your midfield, but who can offer you, you need to spell for a game in a different position. We saw at the beginning of last season, he was kind of like a second striker behind Tammy at times in some of our prolific start to the season there. And so anytime I think you have that flexibility, Nick, you've got a player that is pretty damn special.
Yeah, if you were to do like a blind, like there's the old Pepsi challenge or whatever, right? Where you would just taste different sodas, and a lot of people would pick Pepsi, right? Because of whatever. If you were to do that with some of like the English midfield talent, I think a lot of people would be shocked that they would pick Mason Mount, and I think that's just a credit to him. He does have star potential. There is I think a pretty high ceiling for him. I don't think he's reached it yet, but he's only 21. When you think about prime Frank, that wasn't 21-year-old Frank. Frank got better into 29, 30, 31. He was still banging in 20 goals this season. So I think there's just a long way to go. But the fact that the effort is there, that's sometimes half the battle, Brandon, is just showing up and being available and doing the hard job. And I think Frank's talked about that a lot.
Again, just a hypothetical, but I think, you guys have nailed it. One thing I wanted to talk about, how the midfield I felt was so balanced, and you could tell was because they were able to play 1-2 touch the way they faced. So growing up, you always get coaches saying, play the way you face, play the way you face. Well, that only works if you have options, and they were always options for each other. The triangles were there, whether it was Tammy checking in and he could lay it off, obviously for Ziyech's goal. It was a great example. It's just something that you can see that they didn't have to turn away from defenders to try to make a passing angle. They was just always there. So the fluidity and the speed at which they were able to play was helped because of that balance and just the way they were set up. So I just wanted to touch on that too, of kind of like how it all came together. But I think this is kind of like the formation we want to see line up against some of the big dogs and see how it stacks up and how we can compete at the top. So the next part of it, though, we start at the top of the lineup there at the attackers and worked our way back to the clean sheet FC. Mendy crushing it. He's the first Chelsea goalkeeper since Petr Cech to keep 3 consecutive clean sheets in his first 3 Premier League games, and the first Chelsea goalkeeper since Thibaut Courtois to keep 5 clean sheets in a row. Those are some fun stats as a goalkeeper. At Expected Chelsea said, Chelsea have limited opponents to 0 shots on target twice in the league this season. For perspective, none of the other big 6 teams have achieved it even once. Not bad for Frank, quote, can't coach a defense, end quote, Lampard, eh? So, I guess I know what I have to add, but Mendy didn't do much, so you probably don't really need to focus on him and get my perspective on it, Dan. So it's more of looking at what's ahead of Mendy and the preventative nature that led to another clean sheet.
It's, again, limiting chances is the making it difficult and putting them in a position where if you have less than half a goal expected potentially to be converted, you're not allowing a shot on target, you have put yourself in a position to go out and be effective and win the game. And, I think if we kind of look at the players who helped do that, we saw 1 or 2 shaky moments right in the beginning as the team was kind of coalescing. Mendy did have to come out and make a kind of just a big body kind of move to play off Barnes to make sure that he didn't get a good shot in goal. He kind of skied it up into the left. But beyond that, there was no trouble. There was absolutely no trouble that Burnley was providing our team. And I think part of that was, we talked about the fouling. Our team was getting in and making tough challenges and not allowing them to put together a type of physical dominance. And, everybody's or Nick's favorite bastard covered bastard and bastard filling. How do you refer to Ashley Barnes? Like he was nothing. He was so quiet.
He's a bastard coated bastard with bastard
There
filling.
you go.
It's true.
I mean, I think this was all about Reece James. It was all about Zuma. It was all about Silva. And a pretty solid performance from Chilwell. Not his best that we've seen this season, but I mean, there was just no room. There was, Chris Wood is like 6'9" as a striker.
He's fucking terrifying, isn't it? Isn't he a Kiwi?
He's a Kiwi, yeah.
Yeah, he's just the hardest. Like, sorry to interrupt you, man, but like with that striker partnership, Barnes, classic shithouse old English striker, like exactly the game. He's like it's like some sort of movie duo with like a sort of big Kiwi imported in, super like strong, like dude. And it's just like the ultimate shithouse bastard. I love it. Like it's something from a film, like a really cool but terrible partnership. But yeah, man, they don't score many goals, but they'll stick it up. Yeah.
It's like a D-level movie or something, or you'd have the two of them on the poster. It's like shithouse strikers.
Yeah, it's the shithouse partnership of Wood and Barnes. But yeah, I'd love to hear him because I've never heard him speak Wood. Because obviously I'm imagining he's got a Kiwi accent. I just think it'd be quite funny him and Barnes talking to each other. But yeah,
there was nothing doing though. I mean, like. There were a couple of those shoulder-to-shoulder challenges, and I put that in the best context that I can because I think Zuma and Wood were trying to figure each other out pretty early on, and then I don't think Wood wanted it after halftime. I saw him pull out of a couple of those because like Zuma is a truck, dude. Like not only is he 6'2" or 6'3", he's a pretty big guy, but he is thick. Like it's like running through a wall, man. Like I would not want to deal with that shoulder if I'm Chris Wood in my chest, but like he's like good luck with that.
Dude, sorry Nick to jump in again, but you're just giving me so much good gear here, mate. Do you remember like a couple of few years ago, it was a video that came out. I think it was Didier Drogba's Instagram story when he was in the changing room with Zuma, and Zuma had his shirt off. And obviously he's like absolutely ripped, Zuma. Like, he had like an 8-pack and he's stacked, but he's like almost like on his like back above his lumbar. He's almost got like a 6-pack above his back. And like Drogba was filming him going, what the fuck is this? Look at the 6-pack on his back. Yeah, but it's just because he's like so fucking stacked and obviously really low body fat. So he's just popping everywhere. So yeah, he's superb, Zuma, man. He's a machine.
Well, and he figured out how to time his jumps. Like
beautiful.
That is the thing that maybe is the most impressive improvement in his game. Is there were plenty of times last season where Zuma would kind of get up and you'd be like, okay, well there's the ball sailing away, and oh hey, here's Zuma coming up in the air, and it just wasn't clicking. The delivery from Mason, the timing of the jump, he just seems to hang in the air now. It's like Super Mario 2 where you played as Luigi and you could like hover in the air for like an extra 30 or 40 seconds over any other player, like character. Like that's what he is. He just stands there.
Don't worry, Brandon, I'll interrupt you in a second as well. But I don't want this one to fly. I just don't want this one to go away. But when you said hang time, Thiago Silva's header at the end when he met that corner, that needs a mention. Like, I forgot about that until you were saying that, Dan. How you talk about hang time and perfectly jumped header when they sort of stop in the air, their shoulders are like slightly high, and then they header it. Like that you get Ronaldo or Van Persie prime. Like I was like, oh, there's Thiago Silva of like. Captain of Brazil, Thiago Silva, superstar, 80,000 rated on FIFA header. Do you know what I mean? Like there it is. Like he's not just like he's not just settling the boys down in the back line. Like, of course, Thiago Silva like header, like bang, like he like literally just rose. He's not the biggest centre half in the world, but that when you play FIFA and you've got like a 89 rated centre half and how they just jump and meet headers every time, you're like yes. Yeah, that was a beautiful hang time. Sorry.
Plays taller than he is. He absolutely plays beyond his height, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So real quick to Zuma, thank you to Squawka. Kurt Zuma now has as many Premier League goals this season as Burnley, with 3. So
beautiful.
Sorry, Burnley.
A credit to that
The race is
header.
on.
A credit to that header, by the way. I think that's everybody's ideal center back header. And that thing was an absolute bullet. It was as perfect as he could have met that, and he's missed a lot of those over the last 2 years that he didn't get right heading down, or he just couldn't get down on it. That thing was right in.
Yeah.
Beautiful. No, it's absolutely brilliant. I was looking for something else. Anyways, so Kurt Zouma has now scored 3 Premier League goals this season for Chelsea. No player at the club has netted more. Move aside, Werner Avid, Ziyech and company. Upside down smiley face. Squawka getting in with a little cheekiness in there. Look, I like Zouma. He had a great day, but do not forget he tried to give away a horrid back pass to Ashley Barnes that he thankfully caught up to. Okay, and then he was also the one who misjudged a straight ball in over the top that went to his head that led to said Ashley Barnes chance that Mendy had to come out and get. So again, overall, massively positive, but not perfect, not flawless. And that's okay because we've got Silva, who is essentially sponsored by Chevy because he's like a rock.
Oh my God.
And Chevy, I will take your money now. And we are now presented by...
Jan has left the chat.
They're gonna ask for money from you, Brandon.
No. Squawka's stats line he had the most touches, 65, most passes complete, 56, most fouls won with 4. You usually don't hear that from a center back. 100% aerials won, 100% dual success. He's in control. I think they ripped that from a Chevy commercial.
Well, the fouls won one was interesting because there was one I distinctly remember where we were outnumbered and he didn't have anybody behind him and there would have been space. And he did a really nice fall, like an extended fall onto the ground to make sure he won the ball and stop play. Like smart. It was super smart because he knew, okay, if I don't do this, we're in a bad position. I'm not going to leave my goalkeeper hanging. Yeah. And I'm like, that's great. Like that level of just tactical instinct and wonderful understanding of where everybody is on the pitch, Jan. It was great. I think he adds so much to our back line.
Oh man, superb. Like, I've said it before, said it again. I was so concerned about Thiago Silva coming to Chelsea for a multitude of reasons. I didn't say he was going to be a flop. I just expressed concern, and boy, am I pleased of how he's doing. He looks fit as a fiddle. Apparently he just takes care of his body so well. Passing the ball, both feet, spraying them round. He can play as a sweeper in the back 3. He can play back 2. He's commanding. He's so canny with like what you just said, Dan. Like, he's these small moments. He's like, well, this is going to happen. I've been playing first team football for 20 years. I know if I do this, this is the thing to do. Those set piece headers, he's pressed just the right amount on the B button before he releases to score the goal. Just super strength. I don't know, man. I could wax lyrical about Thiago Silva loads. I'm just so happy. Can he be this good into a second year? I don't know. But, we might be looking at somewhere else by then. But still, I'm just so pleased that he's been an absolute baller. And he looks like possibly, like right now, especially because, Van Dijk's injured, possibly the best centre-half in the league. Say it quietly. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about other candidate. But I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. Now
Harry Maguire, sir. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? How's it, Magaza? But like, I'm struggling. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking like, okay, not really Liverpool. I mean, centre halves at the moment. City, sure they've got Diash and Aymeric Laporte, but they haven't been great. City, do you know what I mean? In terms of a leaky Chelsea defence to 4 clean sheets in a row to what like. I don't know.
Well, it's 5 out of the last 6 too. I mean, like that's the crazy part. It's 5 out of the last 6 clean sheets.
Sure, I mean, mad. First time in 4 years, apparently, we've had this clean sheet run.
Like it's cool. I did not think it was going to continue, and thus my prediction was again wrong this week, and I'm lagging way behind in the London is Blue prediction standings, which I'm totally fine with because my predictions last year also sucked. But
the board don't have a great expectation with you this season, mate.
I'm also now the foil in our prediction standings. Like if I predict a draw or I predict us giving away a bunch of goals, it's like the opposite happens. So I'm getting a bunch of people on Twitter going, "Hey, do that stupid prediction thing again. It's working."
Yeah,
Oh, you're doing it for the people. Yeah, there you go. That's why you're
I'm
wrong
selfless,
so
baby. I'm selfless.
All right. Hey, Dan, run us through your Dan of the match. We'll hit the table and wrap this one up.
Can't we just call that Yan of the match for this episode?
We can't. The Yan of the match brought to you by the Yan of the match.
There you go.
The Yan of this podcast.
Sure.
And anyway, we had a couple of good options. Actually, a lot of good options in this match. I went with a 4 of Havertz, Conte, Mount, and Ziyech. I think there were plenty of people who said you could have added this person, this person, this person. But that's what happens when you win 3-0. Look, Twitter only has 4 options, okay? Get mad at Twitter. It's the easiest thing to do. Don't get mad at me. Anyway, Ziyech with 57% of the vote is the number 1. It was Conte next with 23%, Mount with 15%, and Havertz with 5%. So thoughts, feelings?
I would have personally thrown either Silva or Tammy into this.
Who would you have taken out?
Havertz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Havertz was fine, functional, but I would have put Reece James over Havertz.
Ooh, Reece is a good shout too.
Someone who we really didn't even talk about in this episode, but probably...
that was such a great team performance, boys. Do you know what I mean? It's testament to everyone functioning well together.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, just remember, it was dead last Burnley, which we
Brandon will not let us
You were
forget.
such a downer.
Okay,
He's such a downer about it. Like, it's still a Premier League
all
team.
I'm saying is I want to see it against Everton.
Okay,
apparently.
I'm gonna. This is like interrupting Brandon now. I've completed my set. Basically, yes, I said in my match review, context is required. It's Burnley who are about to win. But this isn't like some team that was promoted last year. Burnley have been like an ever-present in the Premier League of late. And the thing is, they played well last time out against Tottenham, I think it was. They gave them a game. Yeah. And the thing is, people say, they haven't won yet. Yeah, so they are fucking due a win, man. Do you know what I mean? Like this is like all in. Like, okay, we haven't won that. We need to, this is everything. That's how they'll go into this. Yes, sure, it was Burnley, but Chelsea play. People, when they look at that game, no one's going, "Oh my God, Burnley were terrible." No, everyone's saying, "God damn, look at Chelsea. Mm-hmm. They're excellent, and they're gonna win the Super Bowl." Mic drop.
Wow.
I love how you
my American friends
so much about the NFL this season. It's been fun watching you literally learn one WhatsApp message at a time.
Yeah, Ian's been in the WhatsApp going, "Tell me about first downs and why."
Talking about the Green Bay Packers and them cheese curds.
Listen to that, man. I'm about to go sack Dan.
Oh, get him.
All right, I like it. Before this gets violent, though, I better run us through the Premier League table as it stands. So Liverpool have now jumped up into first place because Everton have lost their last 2 matches. And then it's Southampton up into 3rd, Wolves up into 4th, Chelsea up into 5th. So obviously there's a round of matches being played yet today on Sunday, when we won't have the live table update after that. But then you've got Villa, Leicester, Tottenham, City making a jump up, Newcastle, who are 10th, Arsenal are 13th, United 15th, but they obviously have matches. They're playing right now? They just kicked off. Then you got Sheffield, Fulham, and Burnley at the bottom, 18th, 19th, 20th. So again, kind of what I've been saying is we got to stick around the top. We got to stay right where we want to be. That was a huge match. We climbed 5 places, and we're now, with the goal difference, we're in a really good spot. We're on 12 points. Wolves, Southampton, Everton all on 13 points, but we have the best goal difference out of all of those teams. So it's really good to see. Obviously, there's a handful of clubs on 11 and 12 points right behind us, so it's going to be competitive. We got to keep it up, and we got to juggle it all because we've got midweek Champions League right now, and it's staying busy. So anything we missed?
Second best goal difference in the Premier League right now.
Yeah,
only Tottenham have a better goal difference, which is
concerning.
Where we were last season from goal difference to where we're starting out now. This is absolutely a
Brilliant.
very, very positive sign.
Mate, Wolves in fourth place with a 0 goal difference
Yeah,
after 7 games.
It's one Jimenez goal at a time they're winning
Yeah.
by, and that's kind of crazy.
Brick by
I will
brick.
say, you're looking at Southampton. I mean, we're obviously pissed off about that result and should have won that going away comfortably. But at the end of the season, we might look back at Southampton being the surprise top 6 team and go, man, maybe that result was a harbinger of things to come, because they're playing super, super well right now.
Yeah.
They had a
Shout out,
terrible
yeah.
second half where they kind of took their foot off the gas, but they were up 4-0 in the first half over Villa.
They earned it.
They earned it.
Anything we missed, Ian, that you wanted to get in before we wrap?
But not really, man. Probably just, I think after these, in terms of like a final thought, I think after these recent performances with clean sheets, the greatest criticisms of Frank Lampard that have been thrown at him, looks like he's answering said critics. And I think if these players continue to express themselves, if we see continued functionality in that midfield, people will talk about Chelsea as title contenders. I don't think that's being like a sweeping statement purely because Liverpool don't have Van Dijk this season. Sure, they've got the champions mentality. We saw that win being ground out, but they're not like, swashbuckling, are they? So I think, if we claw back a couple of points on them and look great, people will have to talk about Frank Lampard's Chelsea as title contenders. So stick that in your pipe.
I mean, they got a dodgy penalty yesterday.
Oh yeah,
And that is the difference between them being on top with 16 points and being on top with 14 points. And, like they absolutely have gotten some good gifts this season. And we were texting with our wonderful friend Mike Ryan Ruiz, who hosts the Chelsea Mic'd Up podcast during the game, and his question was, "Why not us?"
yeah.
Well, Ian said at the beginning, the title challenge has been launched. So we're within striking distance, and that's what we want. So let's see. Next match, Rennes. All right. Going to be doing a midweek in the Champions League again. So enjoy that. We will not have a preview, but we'll be back with a match review. I know, Ian, you're getting a live look at what Dan, just his many attempts to trip me up throughout an episode, but I've managed them with grace today.
Yeah,
we'll be back with the Rennes match review for next week. So enjoy your Monday, Chelsea fans. Ian, thank you so much for jumping on and being with us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. It was great fun. Thanks for having me.
We're going to let you
appreciate
go.
all the interruptions, buddy. Thanks.
Glad you got your hat trick of interruptions today. It was wonderful. Masterclass.
Where's my fucking match ball?
Prolific.
Oh man, he's like playing bingo over there, checking all these boxes. So anyways, that's gonna wrap us up, listeners. Thank you so much. You're the best part about this, so make sure to get in touch with us through our Discord, through our social media. So let's see if I can do it this time. But that's gonna wrap us up, Chelsea fans. Until next time, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.